Dennis Maloney now. I'd like to take a few minutes to talk about some of the legal issues. And Dennis, help me remember your colleague is Mary Ann McClarty. So, Dennis Maloney.
Thank you all for coming on this sunny Father's Day. And we thought about this, we might have changed the date, but then the speakers might not have come. The collection of people that have volunteered to come here without any compensation and present this course is one of the finest groups of people I've ever met. These people are all brilliant in a different degree. All of them have similar but different talents. And I'd like to thank them all for coming. If there have been any mistakes made, this is the first conference I've ever put on, and then probably the last, just like I did one children's book once, and that was the last children's book I published. It did sell 33,000 copies, however, so I did better than the average children's book, but it was a lot of work. And if there's any problems, they're my fault. I went off and well, I was misdiagnosed for about a year and a half with a knee problem that was not a knee problem. My massage therapist, the massage therapist kept saying, "Go get your hip X-ray." I said, "Go get your hip X-ray." The 3 physicians that saw me and the 2 physical therapists that saw me said, "It's your knee, Dennis." And so one day I listened to the massage lady and I had my hip X-ray, and instead of a ball and joint, I had no ball. And I was off all pain medication. I became a real cranky son of a gun, and I decided to have the operation. And so I've been sort of out of commission for about the last 6 weeks, so I apologize for any problems we have. But the reason that everything's working as well as it is because of Nicole Kaur, who's in my office, who has put this thing together, and this is her first conference. She's a paralegal who I'm happy and unhappy to say just got a full scholarship to Seattle University's law school next year. Thank you. Why are we here? We're here because it's fate in a way, I had a situation that I don't ever want to see again happen. You've got to help me. And I said, "What's the problem?" He says, "I've been to 8 lawyers, better lawyers than I am, and all of them have turned this down, and you've got to help me." I said, "What's the problem?" He says, "The statute's going to run in 2 days on some of the claims." And I said, "Relate." He said, "What happened?" He says, "Well, my son hanged himself because he was bullied. And he just almost died. And I wish I could show you the video that we produced to show to the school district that was the defendant in the case and to the insurance adjusters, but out of respect for the family and at the family's request, we will not show you any part of that. But let me put it this way, every single person who saw that video cried. So I said, oh, and by the way, Blue Cross doesn't cover self-inflicted injuries, so we're on Medicaid for any coverage. And I said, well, that doesn't sound fair, so I'm one of these people that believes in fairness. And I said, I'm going to make a mistake, I'll sue the wrong people, because we only got 2 days for the statute, so you're going to have to find somebody to help you draft a complaint pro se, because I don't want to be sued for malpractice. And then he did, one of the 8 lawyers that wouldn't take the case and help me draft the complaint. And I said, I'll take it over and fund it. So the first case was against Blue Cross. Blue Cross, after 7 months, agreed that, in fact, it probably should cover some injuries to a kid who hanged himself. Maybe he wasn't, maybe he was sick. And then they agreed to be spanked a little bit for being bad people. even though they're supposed to be a nonprofit, sort of, we care about our subscribers type organization. And they agreed to change their policy, and they now cover self-inflicted injuries in Alaska. And my feet, I was entitled to a fee of about $450,000 for this accomplishment, but because I felt the family needed the money more than I did, I took a $50,000 fee for that case. And then we got into the real case, the tough case, case with the school, case about which I knew nothing. And so I know a little bit about that spectrum. And at one end, you have the people that are institutionalized, banging their heads against the wall. I found the real leader of the gang 4 years later, down in Homer, who had not been interviewed by a private investigator for the school district. And I brought him in and videotaped him. I said, "What did he do?" "Nothing. He was just weird." We would not know anything about that from the school district records, because the Anchorage School District has a policy of destroying all records regarding bullying at the end of every school year. And they're all gone, everything, every bit of it. There's no records at all about any of these events. While Mom was talking to the vice principal about why is my son being bullied, he comes down the hall crying. He's been trapped in the bathroom and beat up again. They take him into the nurse's office, and the only reason there are any records of this is because Mom kept a copy of the nurse's notes. The school district records were gone. Well, it's on his back again. His teacher, who left the school after that year, went somewhere else to another school. Science teacher was on the weekend teaching this kid flying airplane in 7th grade. And when we talked to him and deposed him, he could solo in 12 hours. Then he was teaching him how to do acrobatic maneuvers in an airplane with a parachute on. This kid in 7th grade was doing hammerhead maneuvers in an airplane, flying the plane. What a great gift to our society this child might have been. The science teacher goes to the vice principal and says, "He's coming into my room at lunch for protection, not just to work on projects." The response was, "He brings it on himself." Parents hired a psychologist to help the kid try to deal with this. They put him in some karate classes. He still continues to get beat up. Goes to the school. Between 7th and 8th grade, he goes to the University of Alaska, successfully completes a 4-track programming course and learns how to fly glide. During that summer, the parents have a conference with the psychologist and the kid, and they say, "Look, maybe you don't want to go back to this school." He says, "Oh, and he won the state science fair in physics in 7th grade too." I forgot that. Said, "I'm not going to let I love math and science, and this is the math and science school. I don't want to be denied my education by these bullies. I'm going back." He goes back, but he starts to sink. If you read the notes of the psychologist, the depression at night is starting to get deeper. He quits the karate class. The psychologist becomes concerned and calls the vice principal and says, "You've got to do something for this kid. He's having some real serious problems. You've got to get these kids off his back. Do something." And the response is, "We can't take sides in these disputes." When I deposed the principal of Central Junior High School, who is now, I understand, the president of the American Principals Association, Dr. Taylor, I asked him if this was the policy of the school district where both sides in every altercation are punished similarly. Yes, that is the policy. Who wrote it? We don't know. It's still a policy. Came into effect, well, when? 5, 10 years. Easier to deal with, tough to figure out, I don't know. But I said, well, you mean if a 7th grade girl is walking down the hall and someone grabs her breast and she slaps him in response, will she be punished? He said, yes, she would have to be punished. And that sickened me. And that's when the school district decided that perhaps we should talk peace. And so there's a secret settlement that we can't talk about, and you've all read hopefully about it in the paper, but I can't tell you anything of the terms. But I don't ever want this to happen in other families. So since the kid now, instead of being a genius, maybe designing something which might have saved one of our children's lives, is now fed through a feeding tube in his stomach. His mother changes his diapers every day, and he walks around looking about like this. And he can recognize certain people, and he can enjoy an occasional football game. But as Dr. Kleiman diagnosed him, said, following the anoxic event, I didn't tell you the rest of the story, I'll get back, sorry. 8th grade, finally gets shoved in some lockers one day. Gets picked up from school by his mom. She says, what happened? Today I got pushed into some lockers, but I'm not going to be suspended today, Mom. He's now a 98-pounder. A teacher was standing right there and saw it. I didn't do anything. Hour later, Dad gets a call. He's being suspended. Next day, Mom goes shopping. She comes home. Her loving little boy is hanging by a rope, lifeless. They cut him down, called 911 and revived him, but they didn't revive all of him. As Dr. Kleiman said, he was left, because when you're going through an anoxic event, your higher function shut down first, and you get down to the core of your being, of just being able to be alive, and so you can still digest food and breathe, and your heart still pumps blood. Left with a reptilian brain. I don't want that to ever happen to anybody again. That's why we're here. I don't want any business out of this conference. I want nothing. I want children to have a safe environment. And I want teachers to be able to teach. Children to learn. And the world to be the best way it can be.